Hey you guys, my name is Jeff. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, then welcome back. Today, I'm gonna show you how buying paint and investing in stocks have something in common, and learning this will make you a much better investor. Now before we get started, I just want to ask you, have you ever taken a really cold shower, or at least taken a regular hot shower, but then at the end turned the water to really cold and just stood there under the shower head and gotten really cold before you step out, dry yourself off? Have you ever done that? Because if you haven't, you should just try this at some point, because there's something about that really cold water for just 15 seconds, a half a minute, however long you can stand it, that will give you a sense of energy and awakeness and aliveness that you may never have experienced before. Let's get into buying paint and buying stocks, what they have in common. Before I painted this wall, the wall behind me, which is actually a bright white, but it looks kind of blue because I've got some lights on it. But before I painted it, I bought some paint at my local big box store, and the quality of the paint was kind of lousy. It was sort of watery, and you had to put on several coats of this paint to get it to look right. And I just wanted something that was simple, that I could put one coat of paint, and the quality was so good that it was one and done. The big box store did not have that, but my local Sherwin-Williams paint store did have it. But I will show you the can of paint that I got. This is it. They have several different kind of categories and qualities. They have a lower end, cheaper one. This is, I think, their best, and it's called Emerald. Anyways, you can see I've just about used this whole can. And I got it last year in 2021, and this can cost me 55 bucks, okay? No, that's a lot of money to buy for spend on 1 gallon of paint, but I just thought, you know what, if it does the job well, it's worth paying some more, save some time, and it'll look good. So I got this last year. Now, I went to do some more painting, right? And I needed to get another gallon. So I went back to that very same Sherwin-Williams store, and I went up to that very same counter, and I said, "Hi, I'd like to buy another can of this paint." And they said, "Oh, let me check and see if we have it." And they went back into the back of the store, and they came back with this. And you will see that it's actually the very same can. Very same can, only this one has a lot of paint because I already used it. And here's the new one. And I said, "All right, well, I'll get it." They said they had this one can. It's 80 bucks. And I went, "Come again?" He said, "Yeah, it's $80. And I was a little bit surprised because I know there's inflation and all this other stuff, but last year was 55 bucks. And now he's saying that this can is 80. It's got the exact same stuff inside of it. As a customer, you got to say, well, what's going on? So here is my thinking, and this concept, once it gets into your head, will actually help you as an investor in stocks, okay? So what happened, I think, is that, with the pandemic and people staying at home and painting their houses and all this, the paint company realized that, at least for retail customers like me, they could charge more and more, and people would pay it. There was free money, there were stimulus checks, people were working from home, living at home, and wanting to make their places nicer. So they probably raised prices, and people were just like, okay. People who walk in the store, they just say, "Here you go, 80 bucks, and people just swipe their credit card or insert their little card into the chip reader, whatever. People just pay it. And I think that this is a lot like stocks. Prices crept up. They got really expensive during 2020 and 2021. And people paid the prices. The prices continued going up just because for every person willing to pay $75 for a share, somebody else was willing to pay 76, and then the next day 77, and then 78, 79, and then you're at 80 bucks. So that's kind of what happened with this. Now I knew that the price for this can was too high compared to the value of what's inside. I have decided that the value of this paint is, well, honestly, it's probably like 25 or 30 bucks. That's probably what, it's just paint. It's good quality, but it's paint. I mean, come on, it's paint. But I decided that it was worth 55 because that was the price anchor that I dropped last year. The price anchor is just like in your mind, once you get attached or anchored to a certain price, it's hard to depart very much from that. I was attached to 55 and I mentioned it to the guy at the paint store. I just said, 80? You know, when he said that's what it costs, and he said, well, let me take a look. I think I could get you a discount to 60. And I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. I just said, so no price like last year? And he said, oh, we could do 55. This is something that we as investors do by waiting and by being patient. You don't get to talk to the stock market. You don't get to say, hey, this seems expensive. How come? You know, but by waiting, anybody who didn't buy stock, say, 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and this goes with anything, Bitcoin was, you know, $60,000 a coin or $50,000 a coin, and as long as people are willing to go to that party, those prices just go crazy. So you can just wait, you can be patient, and I guess that's the message in all this. You know, you gotta have an idea of the value of what's inside. And it's not just paint, I use that as an example. But this could be anything that you buy. Sometimes you just gotta figure out what the true value and decide whether the price tag is very high in excess of what those values are, or if the price of it is sort of closer to what the value should be, at least in your mind. If you're patient and don't always jump at the first price that's presented to you, sometimes you can get a much better deal. And as a long-term investor, you're gonna get better returns if you can make sure the prices that you pay for stocks are low in comparison with what you get. You can win at this game by being patient, and it's hard to know, where are we? Have we reached the bottom? You know, everybody's saying like, is this the bottom? Should I buy the dip? Is it gonna keep going lower? And you know what? There's no knowing for sure where stocks are going. And people who tell you stock market, you know, has bottomed and it's gonna go up, like, they don't know. People pretend to know. People will look at charts and read them and use technical analysis and say, oh, this chart means this is going here, but nobody knows. But one thing I can say for sure, for absolute sure, stocks as a whole are much cheaper than they were last year. I feel very comfortable buying this year, much more confident that I'm paying a fairer price, a lower price, closer to the intrinsic value of these companies than I would have been paying in 2021. So for people who are fearful today or feeling a certain amount of pain or discomfort at how low prices are, just think about it in terms of you're actually getting more for what you pay than you were even 1 year ago. As you go forward in life and investing, you always want to be getting as much as you can in exchange for what you pay. I'm real glad you stopped by and spent some time with me. Hope this info was useful. If it was, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. And also, if you have not yet subscribed, tap the little subscribe button and the notification bell and you will get a heads up every time I make a new video. Really good to see you here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.